The morning began like any other along the vast, sun-soaked rim of Lake Okeechobee. Wading birds traced their slow arcs above the cattails. Anglers set out their lines in the pale amber light. Water managers, stationed at their control panels, initiated what they described as a routine procedure. A carefully planned drawdown of the lake's water level, designed to reduce flood risk before the rainy season pressed in hard from the south. To the outside world, this was bureaucratic, technical, unremarkable. But the moment those waters began to pull back, something changed. Something shifted in the air above the lake, and something stirred far beneath its murky surface. Within hours, the retreat of the water line began revealing a landscape that most living people had never seen. Stretches of lake bottom emerged from the silt, ancient stumps jutting upward like the ruins of a drowned forest, tangled root systems frozen in time, and vast mudflats stretching outward like the exposed skin of the earth itself. Wildlife responded immediately and instinctively. Herons locked into hunting posture over the newly drained shallows. Schools of fish twisted and thrashed in shrinking pools, disoriented by the sudden loss of their world. Alligators carved slow, deliberate arcs across the exposed basin, their movements heavy and purposeful, as if they too were trying to read what was happening. But then came something that stopped scientists, locals, and drone operators dead in their tracks. Amid the chaos of displaced creatures and steaming mud, shapes began moving through the water with an unsettling calm. Not the frantic darting of trapped fish, not the lumbering retreat of a solitary gator. These were long, steady, organized trails, deliberate movements cutting clean lines across the lake bottom, visible from above as dark streaks through pale silt. People watching drone footage online leaned closer to their screens. Emergency managers radioed in confused reports. Scientists at their field stations pulled up the live imagery and fell silent. Across Florida and then across the country, the question spread like a ripple across still water. What is moving beneath Lake Okeechobee, and why does it feel like a warning? To understand why those movements sent such a chill through the scientific community, you first have to understand Lake Okeechobee itself, its size, its history, its burden, and its secrets. Spanning more than 730 square miles across the heart of South Florida, Okeechobee is not merely a lake. It is a pulse point, a reservoir, a flood buffer, a water supply, a fishery, and an ecological crossroads, all compressed into a single, enormous, and profoundly troubled body of water. It sits at the center of a drainage system that connects millions of acres of farmland to the north with the fragile, irreplaceable marshes of the Everglades to the south. Everything that flows across South Florida eventually touches Okeechobee. And for decades, much of what has flowed in has not been clean. Agricultural runoff carrying phosphorus and nitrogen has poured into the lake for generations, feeding explosive blooms of toxic blue-green algae that have, in their worst years, turned the water into something resembling green paint. These blooms have suffocated fish populations, fouled drinking water supplies, devastated local tourism economies, and sent contaminated water downstream into coastal estuaries, where they have killed seagrass and marine life far from the lake itself. The federal government, environmental agencies, and state authorities have debated, legislated, and argued over Okeechobee's future for decades. Restoration projects worth billions of dollars have been designed, funded, delayed, and redesigned. And yet, beneath all the policy battles and remediation plans, the lake has continued accumulating its burden. Layer upon layer of nutrient-saturated sediment building up on the bottom like the pages of a poisoned archive. That archive, as aquatic biologist Dr. Margot Trellis explained during an on-site interview, is what makes a rapid drawdown so scientifically significant and so deeply unsettling. We know more about what's in the water column than what's below it, she said, her eyes fixed on the expanding mudflats. When the lake is lowered this quickly, we see not only what's living in that sediment, we see what's been buried. Decades of chemistry, decades of biology, things that have been sealed away under meters of water and silt are suddenly open to the sky. And some of those things, it was becoming clear, were not content to simply sit still. They were moving, slowly, deliberately, and in ways that no existing model had predicted. As the footage of Lake Okeechobee circulated, Florida residents and experts alike faced a daunting question beyond the mysterious silt trails. What happens next? A drawdown of this scale does more than expose the hidden. It sets complex biological and chemical processes in motion that can ripple for years. Geologist Dr. Raphael Valls warns this is a geological Pandora's box. It's not just displaced animals, it's the release of sequestered gases and chemicals. Destabilized sediments are releasing methane and ammonia back into the atmosphere, while decades of sequestered compounds return to the remaining water. The concerns took form as sinkholes appeared and new drainage channels carved themselves across the flats overnight, accompanied by the sharp smell of sulfur. Ecologist Dr. Samira Kwan documented biological shifts, species that never normally interact forced together by the loss of their separate habitats. Native catfish in dense columns, vulnerable apple snails, and rare turtles surfacing in unusual pools, all struggling in this transformed landscape. And threading through it all, those persistent, organized tracks, still unexplained, drawing theories from researchers around the world. Dr. Kwan notes that Okeechobee is full of blind spots. Every unexpected movement is a reminder that the lake's complexity is still only partly understood. We must be prepared to be humbled. The lake follows no script, holding its secrets close and reminding us that nature, in the end, keeps its own counsel.